I originally did not want to be a student missionary. Kenya was definitely not my first choice.
No more girls?
No, I was the only girl. We were also able to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, so that was probably the coolest thing. But I had trouble with some anxiety. At one point I was like, why am I here? Especially for student missionaries or career missionaries, you expect them to have this massive story, I converted a village. The best part was when I was actually able to deliver a baby all by myself. We thought it was an angel. You cannot give to God halfway. You must give everything to Him. What is up, you guys? Welcome to the podcast sponsored by the Student Missions Department at Southern Adventist University.
We have the purpose of sharing mission stories and inspire others to serve Jesus with love.
My name is Emily Schneider.
I am Edwin Benitez, and welcome to
Yours to Use.
We have a very special guest today. She's a junior nursing major.
She served for a semester in Kenya.
And one of her favorite hobbies is to ride horses and run.
And apparently a fun fact about her is that she can catch flies with her bare hands like this.
Wow, that's crazy. So today we have Leilani Darnell. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so happy to get to know you a little more and your story in Kenya. Mm-hmm. So, to start this program, we have a very special icebreaker for you. We want to know how much you know about Kenya. So we have a trivia with some questions that we want to ask, right?
Yes. Oh boy. So, are you ready? Hit me with it. You're gonna have 1 minute to see how many questions you can answer. All right. Okay,
so we're gonna start
ready?
At the count of 3.
Oh no.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, what are the colors of the flag? Okay, it's green, red, and black. Capital city? Nairobi. Name of institution you served at? Kendu Adventist Hospital. Official language? Swahili. Say a word in the local language. Kidogo. Who's the president of the country? Oh no. I can't remember his name. Okay, skip. Local dish? It's called ugali. Okay, popular animal? Lion. Population of the country? No idea. Popular tourist spot? I would definitely say the Masai Mara. Popular sport? They love they love soccer. Name of the currency? Kenyan shilling. What's a country that shares a border with Kenya? Tanzania. What side of the street do they drive on? The left side. What's a local holiday? That's a really good question. I don't know.
That's it.
Oh,
no.
I did okay. What was the local holiday? I'm so curious about that one. I don't know. Whatever you said. I said I don't know.
Wow, you actually know a lot. That's good. Okay.
Under pressure. Good job.
Yeah, Leilani, so we just want to know more about your story that in Kenya. So we want to start with this question. How did you decide to be a missionary? Can you tell us more about it?
Well, I originally did not want to be a student missionary. I was like, that's not for me. And it all changed when I wrote in my journal my first semester of freshman year, and I wrote in there saying, God, I promise if you want me to go to be a student missionary, I will. I forgot about it. Student Mission Vespers, I was sitting there and Pastor Kabaz was talking about a verse in Mark 10:49 that says, go, for he's calling you. And I was sitting there and I was like, that's me, actually. I think he's calling me. And I felt very impressed to go to Africa, of all places. And so that is where it all began. And I started really praying. The next day I went to a former student missionary's house. Her name is Brittany, and as I started talking with other student missionaries that had also just returned, I found out that they had come from Africa. And actually, Emily was there with me to attest that this happened. And when I was like, oh, where'd you go? And they said, well, we just came back from Africa. Emily turned and looked at me. She said, and I was like, this probably is. They had served in Zambia. Yeah. And so I was like, ooh, I want to go there. And so that's kind of how it all started. And I just really started praying. It was a big journey.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, you had the idea to go to Africa. Did you had any specific country that you wanted to go?
Well, at first I wanted to go to a country with a Z. I was like either Zambia or Zimbabwe. I don't know why I was stuck on that, but I was like, that's where I want to go. But Kenya was definitely not my first choice. First I wanted to go to Zambia, then that didn't work out, so then I was going to go to Zimbabwe, and then that didn't work out, so then I was going to go to Tanzania, and that didn't work out either. So finally I was able to go to Kenya, and that's also like in and of itself a really cool story.
Can you tell us more about that? So it sounds like there was a lot of uncertainty in terms of where you were going to go. Did you ever feel like unsettled because of that?
Absolutely. At one point during the summer, I was actually on vacation at the beach, and I'm just chilling, and they're like, oh, by the way, you can't go to Tanzania. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was actually going to go there. And they're like, yeah, sorry, they can't accept you. There's not enough room. And I'm like, what do you mean? And so I was just started praying. I was like, God, do you even want me to go to Africa? Like, I felt so called to go here. Why isn't this working out? And I was just like, oh, I've had so much faith and I've given it to you. Why is this happening? And so I prayed about it and then went to bed. I actually had a dream, and this is something that I really like to tell people about this, because I'm not like, oh, I have dreams.
You're like the modern Daniel. The modern Daniel.
Yeah. No, but I had a dream, and I was on a boat, and for some reason there's just a bunch of people, and we all had like our luggage with us, and in that dream, for some reason I had the idea that like it was gonna capsize or like tip over or something. I was like, guys, watch out, this boat's gonna sink. And they were like, why are you worried about this? And I was like, I don't know, just make sure you have your stuff. So I guess a couple moments later it starts to sink, and I was like, ah!
Wow.
And I'm running around, I'm like, shoot, I lost all my stuff. And then I was like, okay, I don't care that I lost all my stuff, I just need my Bible. Now my Bible is like one of those journaling Bibles, and, you know, on the side where it has margins where I can draw or, you know, write.
Has the Bible commentary in the back?
Yeah, well, not that one. I would love that, but you know, not cool. No. And then on the front it has like has a lion. It has all these fancy graphics, and I really like that Bible. It's just so special to me because I've used it for, you know, a little while now and have all my notes and stuff. And as I'm searching for my Bible, because I was like, that's all I need, people were like, well, you can just find another one. I'm like, no, I need that one. And in my mind's eye, in the dream, I saw a certain page that I had decorated. It was from Psalms, and I had like written something, but I couldn't see what it was in the dream. So the next, you know, I wake up and I go about my day, and I was just thinking, I was like, God, you know, I went, wait. And I was like, hang on. What was on that page? So I flipped open to my Bible, and when I saw what it said, tears filled my eyes, because it said, I wrote on the side, promise, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go.
Wow.
Whoa, that's beautiful.
I was like, okay, God. That evening, I have a call with Pastor Stephen and several of the other people who were looking to go to Kenya. Anyways, they were looking to go to Tanzania. We didn't know about Kenya yet. And while we're talking, they're like, oh, so a place we can go is actually Kenya. And they want to have you there. They want you to work in the hospital, you know, and just telling us all about it. And we're like, no way. God is so real. Like, God really does work. And he really does. Like, he communicates to us in so many different ways. And like, that was one way that I was like, wow, I hear you, God. I will trust you.
Oh,
Amen. That's beautiful. And that's how you ended up in Kenya.
Yep, that's how I ended up in Kenya.
Wow. So, when how it was when you first got to Kenya?
How was it?
How was it?
Oh, I mean, I got there. We had a lot of flying. It took forever to get there. I was just exhausted. And so were the boys. I went with Logan Johnson, Gabe Brown, and David Callender, and it was such a fun group.
No more girls?
No, I was the only girl, actually. That was experience.
Wow.
You were
I was
like,
brave.
all right, I have I'm part of the bros now.
You were part of the boys.
I really was. I was part of the boys, which was actually super fun. But yeah, when I first got to Kenya, I thought that I was gonna get really like kind of like a culture shock.
Right.
But it actually wasn't. I was like, okay, I like it.
You're
And it
vibing?
Yeah, I was vibing, and it was so beautiful, and like I remember very well my first like Kenyan sunset. Like the campus was really pretty. I had like several parts of the campus that I just really loved. Like like all the bushes were like like this long, and then the trees, and then I could see like a mountain in the distance, and like just the sunsets were so glorious. It was like kind of like an unpolluted sunset, and I was just like, I belong here.
Wow.
I just loved it there.
Oh my goodness.
Plus, also they say that in Africa, they have the most beautiful sunsets. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah?
I mean, there's some really pretty ones here, but man, something about, I remember there was this one time I was in Vespers and I saw this gorgeous, just like vibrant sunset, and it was like Friday evening. I was like, I see you, God. Yeah.
Amen, amen.
I love that. So can you tell us about what you were doing on a day-to-day basis?
Well, it depends on what point it was.
Right.
However, because I didn't just work in the hospital,
Right.
I also did like stuff in the business department. I like worked with the kids. We did like PE in the morning. We did stuff like taught Sabbath school, and then like did adventures we were all over the place. But a general day, we woke up. I don't know. I probably woke up like 6:30 or so. Talked to God a little bit, and then I went out at 7. The boys and I would go and teach PE to the kids like at 7 a.m. So I'm just like, and the kids are like, woo, because they've been up since like 5, and they're just like, yeah. There's probably like 100.
Oh my goodness.
There were so many kids in that elementary school, probably 600 or more, and so they would give it to us by classes.
Oh.
And
Were you
so-
in a school, or were you a teacher, or
Yes.
what were you doing?
Well, it was a big campus, so there was like the hospital, and so our main call was to work in the hospital.
Okay.
But then there was also the kids, like there's an elementary school in which I don't know, some stayed in little dorms, others like commuted, and then there was a school of medical sciences, so that
Okay.
included like nursing students, and so they had dorms for them too. And then we had like staff housing, and then like a physical therapy building, and it was a pretty big campus. So
Okay.
for me, like I was kind of all over the place. I wasn't really in the classrooms, but for like PE class, of course, we would have them out on the field. They loved soccer, and I'm not very good at soccer.
Did you play with them?
I tried. Man, they take the ball from me so fast. I'm like, you go. You have fun. I really tried, and the boys like tried to help me with my skills, but
You're out there.
But so that was the first part of the day, and then after that we'd go to breakfast in the guest house. We had some amazing, really sweet Kenyans who would always make our food for us.
Okay.
Wow.
So great. We are lucky.
Wait, what was your favorite food in Kenya?
Oh. That's a really good. I loved these donuts. They're like very lightly. They're like kind of sweet, but not super duper sweet. Donuts called mandazi. I really like
Mandazi.
those. And then, I almost forgot these tortillas that they would make. They put it with a lot of oil. They were called chapati.
Chapati. So good.
What I would do is I'd
So
take it back
good.
to my room, put peanut butter and honey on it, roll it up, and eat it. Oh, so good. I was so.
That's
that was so
hilarious.
good. So I really liked that. They had a lot of really good dishes though, like super solid. But then so after breakfast we would go to our respective locations. Maybe the boys would be working in maintenance, and then I was working like in the hospital or in the business department. So I'd go there, work till 1. 1 was lunchtime. We'd go back to the guest house, then go back to work, and then like we'd all get off at 5. It was very chill. It was very, very chill. And then we would go eat, and then sometimes in the evening I would hang out with like the locals, like go into the dorm and hang out with the girls. So much fun. I just loved being with them. Or maybe I would go to the Hong's house. That was our host missionaries.
Okay.
Dr. and Mrs. Hong, they were just amazing. And so we'd maybe hang out there, play board games, or like eat. Oh, they made the best food. And like, so good. I miss it still. Or maybe we would like go out to like the market or just like hang out. It was just so good. So
Wow.
that's like typical
I was
day.
actually gonna ask you. So, were you able to explore part of the culture, or did you do anything fun to explore, or
Oh,
how
yeah.
was that?
Oh yeah, that was really awesome. We were able to take some like weekend trips.
Okay.
We went to, of course, like as I mentioned earlier, the Masai Mara, which is like
Okay.
very,
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very. It's like, I guess you would call it like a national reserve or something.
Wow.
They have like all the safari animals, like everything you would think, like when you see National Geographic, like, and it's the safari edition,
Right.
like that's actually real. Like that's actually how
Wow.
it is. They're everywhere. Like I'm over here, I'm like, oh, there's a giraffe, there's an elephant, there's some lions over there, there's a leopard in a tree, there's a whole herd of zebra or wildebeest, and just so cool. So
Can
that
you
was-
feed them?
No.
No, feed them.
No.
Feed them your arm.
yeah, here. Just a bite of my arm. No. The
So,
lion,
do
we
you-
were able to get like 15 feet away from a lion, and I was like,
So did
hey,
you
man.
roll around in like those Jeep things?
Yep, the safari
Wow.
jeep.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so we did like a 2-day expedition of that. That was so cool. And then it was just beautiful. So we were able to do that. We also, where I was located was very close to the shores of Lake Victoria. And so we were able to go to like a little retreat thing. Like it was like a fancy, resort. That's what I was looking for. That's the word. And like, had the little palm trees and like the nice grass. And then we were able to stay like in a nice, like a hut condo thing.
Right.
And then like go out on the water in a boat and see like this island with a bunch of birds. Like I've never even seen those birds before. That, and then we were able to take another trip to Nairobi to like it was called the Amen Conference.
Okay.
It was Adventist Medical Evangelism Network, I believe. We were able to attend a conference. Yeah, I suddenly blanked on the word. A conference there. And then we were also able to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, so that was probably the coolest thing.
Wow.
Oh.
So cool.
How did that go?
Oh, well, we made it to the top. Unfortunately, Logan was not able to come.
Wow.
But Gabe and I were able to make it to the top.
Wow.
So, yeah,
So
that
was it
that was
like-
a lot.
Your average hard hike around Southern or
No.
Okay.
That was like the hardest thing physically that I've ever done in my life. And I like to think
Really?
that I'm a fit person.
No,
Yeah.
I can confirm that. Like, I've seen you like literally run straight up a hill, and I don't understand how you
Sprinting.
can physically do that. No, absolutely.
It's God for
She
sure.
sprints up hills.
It's God for sure. So yeah, that was really challenging. It was a 6-day expedition.
6 days?
6 days.
Wow.
And we had a whole group of porters and guides that like carried our stuff. They balanced the packs on their heads, and then also had a big old backpack behind.
Wow.
And they were climbing faster than we were. And I was like, I am actually weak. And then the porters would walk ahead, and they would set our camp, make food for us. Oh, it was so good. And then the guides would come with us, and we walked so slowly. It would just be like, because there's no air up there because it's kind of high. So we would just get so tired. I was like, wow, why am I so tired? But it was really cool. We would go through different ecological zones. Like first it was like a rainforest. Then
Oh,
it started to be
wow.
like actually nothing. Like it looked like we were on like the moon. Like there was nothing alive. And then we finally got to base camp where it was snowing. And I was
Oh.
like, I am ill-equipped for this weather.
No? Wow.
Yeah, like we all had jackets and we're just dressed in mini hats, mini jackets, mini pants. But it was so cold. So we started climbing at 12 a.m.
Wow.
Got to the very top like at 6 something.
Wow.
The sunrise was incredible. We kind of died on the way. One of us had altitude sickness, which was not
Oh,
good.
so it was for real?
He was
Yeah.
not
It was
feeling
for
well.
real? Oh, wow.
And I wasn't feeling well either. I was like, God, help me make it up this mountain.
Wow.
And at the end, I was hanging onto the guide, just like, I just want to go to sleep. But we made it to the top. I don't know if I would do it again. Okay, it was really
Wow.
awesome, but
Right.
Wow, is that the highest mountain in Africa?
Yes, it is 19,341 feet.
Wow.
I think it has like 50%.
Wow. That's like an extra
oxygen.
quiz point.
Yeah, we should have that in the quiz for
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah. I would have aced that part.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
So it was
Would've.
it was a very cool, very beautiful, unique experience.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Leilani, going back to your mission experience, what was the biggest challenge that you faced during this semester?
I would say it was probably, some I felt like in comparison to some of the other student missionaries, I did not necessarily my living situation was good. I had food. I felt like I didn't have trials in the way that you usually think missions are, but I had trouble with some anxiety.
Wow.
It was real. Sometimes the mental battle can be
Yeah.
even more
Wow.
than the physical.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
sometimes can. Not always, of course. Everybody's unique. Everybody's experience is unique. But for this one, I had issues. For some reason, I was dizzy a lot, and so I had, and I think part of it was from the malaria medication, which I ended up stopping. Don't tell Stephen. And so I would have troubles with dizziness, and then that brought on, but then the anxiety brought on the dizziness, and then it was a whole thing. And then I also struggled. I was like, wait, why am I here? Because I was a pre-nursing student. Now I'm in my second semester of nursing. I actually know some things now. Before I didn't really know much. And so I was going into the hospital kind of willy-nilly, hey guys, I'm here to help. And they're like, what can you do? And I'm like, actually nothing. But they taught me a lot, and so I was able to get some really awesome experiences. I loved the maternity ward. But at one point, I was like, why am I here? They're
Right.
teaching me stuff. I'm supposed to be here to help. And granted, I got really cool experiences talking to the mothers and helping them through their deliveries and or talking to the kids or connecting with the students. And because I would say I'm a pretty social person. Right. So I was able to connect with everybody and but I was like, why am I here? So that was probably one of the most difficult things for me. And then missing home and sometimes being I'm the only girl. The guys don't understand me.
Wow.
And they did so well. They were so sweet. And they were so fun. But sometimes I was like, I need that, that
Yes.
female
Yeah.
connection. And so I think that was something I learned to be what, it's okay. I'll be fine. I can handle it handle it myself with God.
Amen.
So I would say that was probably my struggle.
So being the only girl student missionary there, did that kind of force you to reach out to some of the local women in the community to lean on?
Absolutely. So one night I woke up at 2 a.m. Thankfully it was not 2 a.m. my mom's time because I called her. I was like,
Okay.
Mom, I was sweating. I was my heart was pounding and I was kind of short of breath. And I was like, Mom, I'm just so anxious. Why am I here? What's going on? And she's like, Leilani, okay, talks me down. She's like, it's okay. Prayed with me, shared with me some Bible verses that really meant a lot to her. And I started to calm down. Then I was able to kind of talk. And she said, Leilani, how much have you actually interacted with the locals? Have you gone and hung out with the Kenyans? And I was like, I guess not. And so she's like, well, you need to do that. You need to go to the girls' dorm and actually hang out with them. I'm like, yeah, I've been putting that off for whatever reason. And so the next day I went into the girls' dorm. They had the most shoes in front of the door. And I was like, hey, Leilani! And we just had a great time. So there's this one girl, her name is Nina, and I connected with her especially. And she just became my best buddy there. And I would do so much. Sometimes we'd go to the market or we would just hang out. Sometimes we would sing. I would love to sing with the choir and it was so fun. So we would just hang out and she was my person that I could go to.
Wow.
And so that, I think Nina was definitely a blessing among several other girls that were just amazing. Another one was Happy, Rachel.
That's such a cool name.
Oh yeah, I know.
Happy.
Happy.
I love
and I was
that.
like, this is so great. And she lives up to her name. So
That's amazing.
it was awesome.
That's
So
awesome.
I kind of want to hear, you mentioned that you really loved working in the maternity ward. Why did you love it so much, and what did you get to do there? Let's hear about it.
My word. Oh, this gets me so excited. I have a passion. I discovered there that I have a passion for labor and delivery.
Wow.
I found what I like about this certain area of nursing is that patients go there to be excited about something.
Yes.
Usually you don't go to the hospital to be excited about something.
Very true.
But you go to the hospital and you're literally bringing a new little human into the world. And so I went in there first week, and then I kind of I stayed there a lot. I was there quite a bit. And I would be all over the place. I went to watch C-sections. They even actually had me scrub in.
No way.
And I was like, what's this? What's happening? And they're like, okay, well, can you pass me this tool? And I'm like, which one's that? But I was able to help out with that. I was able to I'd help assess, I would listen to the fetal heart rate, or I would, give them shots, or, push IVs, or, help with all these things, or help comfort her during the delivery, or hold her hand. But the best part was when I was actually able to deliver a baby all by myself.
You by yourself?
I did. All by myself.
Wow.
My goodness.
It was probably one of the coolest things that I've done to the history of this
Ever.
Because I was a pre-nursing student. I didn't know anything. But I go into the ward that day, and the nurse says to me, she said, "You are going to deliver a baby today." I was like, "Oh, that's not an option." Great. So I put on my little rubber boots and this apron thing, my sterile gloves, and I was like, "Okay, what?" And I mean, the baby came very fast, and so I was able to, just deliver the head, check the neck for the cord. No cord, and then its elbow was stuck, so I kind of unstuck its elbow.
Wow.
And then just delivered it. I was able to, cut the cord, all that stuff.
insane.
Oh, it was so cool. That was awesome.
So
What?
how much did you know about delivering babies, prior to that experience? Had you gone over this in any nursing classes?
No, because I didn't even have nursing classes. So I had this clever little app called Touch Surgery. And that morning I was like, I feel like I'm gonna deliver a baby today. I don't know why I thought that, but I guess I was right. And so on that app, it shows you how to do this, and I was like, oh, cool. And of course I had watched it several times because I had been there for
Right.
about 2 months.
Right.
So I was able to see what needs to happen, what you need to do, so I knew something about it.
Right.
But I had never tried it.
Right.
But it went well, so
There you go.
hopefully he's alive and well and chilling.
Wow.
That is
wow.
such a unique experience.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
absolutely.
Most people cannot say that.
So Leilani, what is the story that impacted you the most? Do you have any other story that really touched your heart? Or maybe what was a moment where you saw God working in your life, really powerful, in a really powerful way?
Well, I have a lot. I would say I saw God in a lot of ways. I think that some people expect for a student, especially for student missionaries or career missionaries, you expect them to have this massive story, I converted a village, or I whatever it might be.
Right.
But I never felt like I had that experience that was hands down. I was like, that's the one that I'll go back home saying, oh, this is when I really, but I felt like I saw God through, a lot of things. But I think especially in interacting with the patients and the people there, I feel like they taught me a lot in how to live. Because they view life through a different lens. And so they taught me a lot. But I would also say an experience when I felt like it kind of gave me chills kind of thing. It's a story, so if we have time for me to tell this story, I will. Okay. So the time that I really really saw God working, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's cool, was coming back from Kilimanjaro. Actually, the boys and I took a bus. On the way there, we were stopped by the officials and interrogated, and And eventually we just had to pay a $100 fine, which I was like, that's fine. Just take our money, please let us go. But on the way back, I placed my luggage underneath the bus that was going to Nairobi, going from Tanzania to Nairobi. And I placed my luggage under there. I like saw my suitcase and I was like, stay, don't leave. Because I was like, I don't want to stay. Well, it didn't. So there are 2 buses going to Nairobi, and apparently for some reason it got moved to the other one. I didn't believe that at first.
Okay.
We get to the border and we have to take all of our luggage out, get it scanned, and then talk to like the people, show them our our visas, and our passports. And like they're like, okay, you're good to go, whatever. And they're always kind of like, either they're like, oh my goodness, Americans, or they're like, what are you doing here? Why are you in our country? So this time they were much nicer to us. It was better than the first time. But I couldn't find my suitcase. I was like, where's my suitcase?
Wow.
Oh,
And
no.
they said, oh, it's on the other bus. And I was like, are you sure? Because I really would like my stuff. Like, I'll be okay, but
Right.
I kind of want my stuff.
Right.
Well,
And-
did you have everything in
No.
that suitcase?
Thankfully
Okay.
not. I had my big suitcases
Okay.
Oh, okay,
back
okay.
at the hotel in Nairobi. We actually stayed at the Adventist guest house.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So thankfully I did not have all my all my earthly possessions. Anyways, and so we talked to the people there, and they're like, no, don't worry. And I was like, okay. So we make it back to Nairobi, just exhausted, and it was probably 11, but we had just kind of climbed Kilimanjaro, so we were like.
Wasted.
Yeah, like we were just so exhausted. Anyways, so we drop off Gabe at the hotel, and then David was going to come with me back to the bus station to try and wait for the bus to come for me to get my luggage back. So we go to the front desk, and we say, hey, could you guys call a taxi, a reliable one for us? They're like, sure, yeah, sure. We'll call the front gate. So there are people like at the gate that are kind of like guards. So they called them. They're like, oh, could you call a good one? Yeah, we know somebody who would be good. We have a number. And so they call the number, and the guy shows up. 5 minutes later, we're like, hey, can't remember his name, unfortunately, but we started talking. We're like, oh yeah, so are you like part of Uber? Because they actually have Uber there.
Really?
And I think they
Great.
also have Lyft.
Wow.
Or some, I can't
Wow,
remember.
that's-
Yeah,
that's
I was
very
like,
good.
oh, okay.
That's very good.
Uber in Kenya, okay. They actually have a lot of stuff that's like, oh, we have that in America too.
Wow.
Anyways, so he's like, no, I'm self-employed and I've been in Nairobi for like 7 years, and I'm like, okay, and he was kind of like, he didn't like give much details on his life, but we were just kind of chatting, and he was very, very nice. Not like oddly, but he was really, really sweet.
It's like genuine.
Super genuine. And so we get to the bus station, takes more than just 30 minutes. Takes like, we were probably waiting 45 to an hour. And I was
Wow.
like, just as long as I get my suitcase back. And he was being super sweet, because like usually taxi drivers do not like to wait. They will be like, hey, I gotta go, I need to make more money.
Right.
Like, let me just go back. Maybe can you call another taxi when you're ready to go?
Right.
Anyways, but he was being super sweet and just like waiting for us and being like, don't worry. And like at one point I pulled out my phone, and he's like, no, you should keep that away. Nairobi's really dangerous at night, especially like at 12. He's like,
Wow.
you need to keep that away. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. And so, it was just very watchful, and I hadn't really had like Kenyans really be as mindful about that. Like no hate obviously, but it's just like they're like, well, it's whatever, and so finally the bus pulls up, and I just jump out. I'm like, where is it? And I get my suitcase back, and I was like,
got
thank
it back?
God I got my
Wow.
suitcase back. And that was so good. And so so I thanked the bus driver, and I was like, thank you so much, kind of gave him a tip, and they were like, thank you so much. And then, can we get pizza, to the taxi driver? And he's like, yeah, let's get some pizza. So we got pizza, and we got him a shake, and we're like, hey, so tomorrow is our last day in Nairobi. We'd really like to kind of like look around and like get some souvenirs.
Right.
Where are the best places? He's like, oh, let me show you, and we're like, okay. So he drives along, and now mind you, in all that time of waiting, I just remembered he actually didn't charge us for that time when we waited.
Wow.
Really?
Only for when he was driving, which is pretty unique.
Was it expensive? Or not really?
No, I can't remember how much, but it wasn't the currency, like it was great. I was like,
Wow.
wow, I have plenty of money. Yay. That's how I felt sometimes. But anyways, it's just great. It was just great. I was like, I can pay for this and I can pay for that. Woo! Anyways, so he showed us, okay, this is a good place for souvenirs. This is another good place. And we're like, great, that's great. And so he takes us back, drops us off. He's like, hey, they have my number. They have my number. Call me tomorrow and I'll take you back into Nairobi and we can, you know, get souvenirs and I'll drive you around town and you'll see all the, you know, important stuff. And we're like,
so nice.
Perfect. So next morning we go down the front desk. We're like, hey, we want to call that guy. And they're like, who are you talking about? And we're like, you know, the taxi driver. They're like, we don't know a taxi driver. I'm like, oh, well, don't you have this in your call history? Because I saw on their phone book they had written down all the calls, you know. They're like, I don't know. And so they call the front gate. We're like, oh, we'll ask the front gate. And they're like, ah. And they're like, who are you talking about? I have no idea who that is. I know nobody of that name. And they were like, well, don't you have like a number on the call list or call history? No, there's nobody. Not even around that time.
What?
And David and I looked at each other and were like, wait a minute. We thought it was an angel.
Wow. Wow.
So I really saw God working. I don't know what could have happened that night because Nairobi is very dangerous. There are people, you know, killed, especially because we're American. We stand out. I don't know what could have happened, and I don't know, you know, I have no idea why God chose that specific time to be like, hey, let me really show you that I'm working. But
wow.
Yeah, that was really neat.
What a story. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course,
really cool.
Of course.
So I have a question for you. Was there a specific Bible verse that was especially meaningful to you during your time that you spent as a student missionary?
Yeah, I would definitely say, well, first of all, it was like the go for he's calling you and like the I know what I'm doing, like I'm here, like I promise I'll instruct you and lead you where you're supposed to go. But in Kenya, especially, there was, I would say it was probably Philippians 4:6-7 or 8. I can't remember, unfortunately. And it's talking about do not be anxious.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah,
That
it's
hits.
a very, very good one. And Gabe would always remind me that. I'd be like, I'm worried about this. He's like, hey, Leilani, flips to Philippians. He said, read this verse. And I was like,
Read the scripture.
okay. Yes. And I was like, okay, you're right. So I think that one was one that was very impactful for me because, of course, earlier I talked about how I would have some anxiety. And so I think that verse was like very helpful for me. I was like, yeah, you're right. God showed me a lot. I learned a lot while I was there. He just taught me a lot.
Wow, that's beautiful. And just to conclude this little talk, if there's someone in the audience that is watching this podcast that is maybe having something in their mind of becoming a missionary, what is a good advice that you can give to that person? Or maybe something you can tell them about Kenya, or what is something you can tell them to that person that is having that question?
I totally know how to. Okay, so if you feel called, go. God will work it out. Because I was like, as I said earlier, I was like, oh, I don't know, like this is not working out. No, He will work it out for you. And something that I really realized earlier that year, it was a big faith journey. And at the beginning, I was like, God, I don't know if I can give, God was saying, I want you to give these things to me. Like he laid out several, I'm praying, and he said, he's like, I want you to give this, I want you to give, and I want you to go to Africa. And I was like, whoa, jump scare. And as I prayed and as I journaled and studied, I realized you cannot give to God halfway. You must give everything to Him. So if you say yes to God in one thing, you must say yes to the other things that He's asking of you. That is the only way that He'll truly be able to work in your life according to His purpose. The Bible talks about according to His purpose. What is His path? He will guide you, instruct you in the way He wants you to go, not you. And so I really, really, really encourage, if you feel like you're called, go. And don't just give half, give all. Give all to God.
Amen, amen.
Amen.
Wow, that's a beautiful lesson. Well, Leilani, we have one last thing for you, right?
We have a surprise.
Oh no.
In this box.
Can you tell us a little more about this gift?
So this is something that we got for you that I think you will find meaningful considering what you shared today. So I hope you like this.
Aww, I love it. Wait, show it for the cameras.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, it has my favorite verse. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye. Psalms 32:8.
That's the Bible verse that you got, that you read at the beginning, right?
Absolutely, and I like how you have the ocean, cause I love this. Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Leilani. And I think a lesson that we can learn from this podcast is that God always brings people in our life that will help us whenever we're struggling, whenever you had anxiety. The local lady, the angel that God sent you. You know, sometimes when we are struggling, when we have anxiety, when we are going through a lot of challenges, God sends people that will come and help us, you know? And I just think that's a beautiful thing about God.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Leilani, for your time. Yes.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Stay tuned to hear more stories in the future.
Yeah, and remember that God doesn't call the qualified, but He qualifies the called. Stay tuned.